Resident Alien Season 2, Episode 5. You might be wondering, why does the setup look different right now? I moved. This is the new office. I'm still figuring out what to do with the lights. I'm noticing it looks pretty dark here. Let me know if you guys think this works or if I need to switch back to the old lights. It's more of a tighter space, so I don't know if the old lights would work better, but that's not what you're here to see. So yeah, the lights, whatever, we're moving past it. Episode 5 of this season of Resident Alien. First off, I want to say this because I think it's very important for the show. It's been mixed this season. There's been some good moments. There's been a couple of bad ones. I think we can all agree that's pretty much what we've been seeing. I've liked the majority of it, but even I can admit, as somebody who has enjoyed what we've saw, there's been a couple things that haven't been great. This episode in particular, I think, played to the strengths of the show in a big way and took some big swings that really paid off and made it worthwhile. Again, I have not read the comic book, so if there's things in this book that don't happen on the show, not surprised because these are very different mediums and the show's going for that more kitschy feel. I think in this episode you feel the kitsch a little bit harder than some of the other ones, and this is where the kitsch works for me. This is where you see what's going on, you're like, okay, I can get behind this, I can support what this is doing. So the big thing this episode, every week we have a theme. You know, we talked about, being a woman, what it means to be a father, what it means to be all these things. This one's about being a parent in general, because the main crux of this episode is Harry's daughter comes to town. Guess what? Harry had a daughter with his first wife. Her name is Liza. She shows up. She's, a little bit punk rebellious with piercings and dyed hair. And she's got an attitude, and she doesn't want to go to this boot camp because it's boot camp. Why would you want to go there? So she wants to go hang out with her father for a bit until her mom's back from whatever she's doing in Italy or whatever they say. And at first I was like, is McKenna Grace doing another role where she's the young version of a character? And I'm like, no, this isn't McKenna Grace. This is a new actress altogether. And she does a great job. She really portrays this really perfect level for this show. Like, okay, let me put it this way, I should say. The perfect level of teen angst for a sci-fi original show. It's better than CW, not as good as, like 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Like, it's the perfect level for what this show is. Just like, I hate my life, I will be rebellious and no matter what I want to do, so you can't control me, Father, I will do what I want anyways. She played that perfectly, and it worked really well. And I love the theme of Harry pretending to be a father based on watching television. Because that works for him, he's like saying stupid things, he's trying to do the cliches that you see on television, banding his toenails, getting her a puppy. It's funny and it works, and I think that's where the humor really shines in this episode, is when you see that character acting this way. Like, it's just really funny, it's just really enjoyable. And again, Alan Tudyk is such a good actor, he is so talented and amazing just to watch, just do everything he does. He's such a talent on screen. But this episode in particular, I don't know why, maybe it was just because it was tight spaces for him to be in. His muscles were popping, baby. Like, he looked ripped. And I loved him in Doom Patrol. I love him in this. Why hasn't he gotten a bigger role before? Why isn't this guy leading movies? I said it before, I'll say it again. Alan Tudyk would be the perfect Willy Wonka. Like, I want to see him do more, and I'm glad he gets his own show where he can lead here, but give him more. Come on, put him in movies. Make him, Booster Gold or somebody. Come on, he can do it. He can do it now. I know he can. It's great to see this, and their chemistry is really good. Like, she hates him. He doesn't want to spend any time with her. The way it kind of becomes like a driving lesson towards the end, and that turns into like an escalating water balloon fight at the Family Day Festival. That's all really fun. And it feels like a genuine connection is being had between the two, and you really buy that, like the estranged father and daughter dynamic actually gets some really good play here, and it actually works in a beautiful way. It doesn't feel clicky, it doesn't feel stupid. You support it, you believe it, it actually makes sense and works, and that's a really important thing to see here, because you copy that with the other kind of like child and parent story throughout this episode that I think wasn't the best portrayal. So in the last episode, Asta went to see Jimmy again. She slept on the couch at his place. They didn't hook up. I thought she would. They didn't. I still think it's like a weird angle that the show took with like giving Asta and Jimmy a child, and they had to get rid of it. Like, it feels realistic for a small town, and I think that's cool. but I kind of don't want to become the defining feature for Asta. So this episode was kind of like the primary that she sees the relationship like blossoming between Jay and Darcy, and she gets kind of jealous about it. And it leads to a really inauthentic fight between Darcy and Asta. Like, I really think that moment where they're in, like, you know, the hospital and you see, like, yeah, getting drunk and, you know, hitting yourself in the head or whatever, waking up in the hospital. You're not an adult and you're not a good influence. And then Darcy's trying to tell Asta, like, you're not fit to be a mother in essence. And it just, I don't know. It was just a really unearned scene where I felt like we had to put this in for some tension in this episode, or else it'd all be a little too silly. I didn't like that part. I think everything else about this episode worked really well, but that moment was just so easy, and then all of a sudden they resolve it at the end when they do their pepper eating contest. That was fun. Everything at the festival was just so fun. The way we see Liza and Harry get into the fight was really cool. I absolutely lost my mind at the musical. The musical was great. Like I said, Ben's a great character. He wants to change the way people see patients. What better way than to go on a father and son bonding trip to your local cemetery and get inspired to write a musical on the 59 miners who died? It's because it's just from a place of just such like niceness, and he's trying to do the right thing and be a good mayor. But it's just so funny. Just the way you see him just struggling to, you know, find the way to make the town look good. And he writes this stupid musical, and the kids put it on, and it depicts the miners dying. It's not like a heroic tale at all. It's just the miners dying, and then they sing a song about how like now like their wives are sad and they don't know their happies anymore. And now your father is dead, and your uncle's taking the place of your father, and you'll never know true happiness or be able to see your kid grow up. And it's these kids singing this. And the entire town's watching it like, what is this? What is going on? And Ben's just chiming along to it. It's hilarious. It was such a funny scene. Like, that was just where I'm like, this is where you would do something like that on like a sitcom. Like, that's a Parks and Rec joke right there. And that is why it works so well. Because I'm like, that is actually funny. That isn't trying to sound funny or uncreative or anything. It's like, that's a good joke. And it worked really well. I love it, and then Max is chiming the song later on throughout the day. That's just really funny, and it works so well. Everything about that was really cool. We do get a little bit of, like, interesting backstory for Mike. We see when his partner dies in a very COVID-friendly shot because it was bad. It opens up with, like, the 5 years in the past when Mike gets his partner killed. Like, I don't really think he does it. It just seems like he was there when his partner got killed. Cletus is his partner's old dog, so now he's taking care of it. You see the death off screen, so I guess you don't see it in that regard. So I'm like, this is lazy. And that was like, okay. I know, I understand it. Sci-fi, you got a certain budget. This isn't the focus. We'll move on. But he's also starting to realize he's got a gap in his memory from a certain day when he was mind-whammied by an alien. Liv is starting to think, like, Liv knows it's an alien. Like, she is convinced. She knows. She got it right. She knew it from the beginning. She's a great detective. She figured it out from the beginning, but no one's going to take her seriously enough to actually check into what she's saying. Who knows what she's really thinking? I think that's really cool. It's a fun story for her. She got it. Like, she knew what it is, and they both were missing a certain day, but at the festival, Harry implants a memory into Mike's mind. So he remembers fishing with his father that day, thus setting up that Liv's eventually going to figure out the truth. She has to. That feels like where we're heading. If she doesn't, that's a complete waste of potential, a complete wasted opportunity. She will. Like, I really think, because we're setting up so much for the end of the season without actually doing much to get there. So I think we're going to eventually just see, like, all the resolution, because we see the guy who's in the RV again. He was in the first season. He played a more prominent role. He hasn't done much this season, but he got the space ball. He got Harry's other space ball. It messes up his coffee. You know, Sahara lost it, so yeah, it's cool. Like, I think all of this is working really well, and it's the kitschy stuff of this episode that really made it solid. I really love the father and daughter dynamic between Harry and Liza. That was cool to see. The Asta stuff, not my favorite, but the Mike stuff was cool. The Liv stuff was cool. Everything else, I think, worked really well. It made for some very funny moments, just some great television. This season's been interesting. But I think if it continues this pace, where it's like really deadpan humor with great acting and Alan Tudyk leading this in a beautiful charge, it could be setting up for something really beautiful and impressive. And I hope it sticks the landing, because we got 3 episodes left, and I'm kind of worried it's going to miss its mark towards the end. But if it keeps up this pace, if it does what this episode did and more, I think we got something beautiful happening here. Everything about this worked. It was cool. It was cute. It's Resident Alien, episode 5, and that is my review for that episode. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.